Hey, welcome back, everybody. Mark from Rams Up here. Have another Rams Up update. Going to talk a little bit more about the big signing. Matthew Stafford back in LA for sure. And Alaric Jackson also added to this roster. He was a pending free agent at the start of the new league year. So the Rams wrap him up. Pretty big news. And I'm going to segue into an updated roster situation. Take a look at all of our starters as of March 1st, and that'll give us an idea of what work is left for our Rams. Hey, this is episode 674 on the podcast. So I wanted to talk about a player who wore number 74. And you know what? There's only three. And why would that be? Because this dude, Merlin Olsen, played for about a century for the Rams. His uniform number is retired. One of the greatest defensive linemen in the history of the game. So only a couple of other guys to talk about, and 100 or 200 episodes ago, I did talk about Merlin. So let's talk about another player that came before Merlin Olsen, and a guy that I was pretty much unaware of, Big John Baker. And why do they call him Big John Baker? 6'7", 279 pounds, and now remember, this is in the 1950s, early 1960s, and that was a big dude in that era. And he came to the Rams, initially played 4 or 5 years, I think it was, and then moved on to a couple of other teams. And after that, got into law enforcement, and he was really instrumental in the desegregation of schools in North Carolina. Eventually became a sheriff. And Big John Baker, number 74, pretty good football player, and one of two players besides Merlin Olsen who wore that number for our Los Angeles Rams. So what else do we got? Well, again, Alaric Jackson, 3 years, $57 million, and one of the highest graded tackles in the league last year, an undrafted rookie. So man, what a great story this has turned out to be. And, he wanted to come back to the Rams. And, it came down right about the same time the Rams announced this restructured deal that's forthcoming. And we don't have any details on that yet. He may be getting half of Orange County for all we know. But Matthew Stafford and Alaric Jackson both back on the Rams. And it's a pretty big deal. These were in my opinion, well, it's pretty obvious, right? These were the two highest priorities for the Rams to get done. Make sure Matthew Stafford remains with this team and is happy and content, and that he has his blind side protector, Alaric Jackson. And so both of those deals are done. Pretty good news. Really good news for our Rams. And I encourage you to go check out the video Ian and I recorded last night, Friday night, kind of capturing all of this, getting into some more details and what it all means if you haven't seen that yet. And by the way, please, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, subscribe, like these videos, and comment away. We really appreciate it. So what does this all mean? Let's take a look at the starters on defense as of March 1st, 2025, and this will give us an idea of where this team stands. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, I have it laid out here for you on the podcast. Let me talk you through it. Now, what I did here is I put our 11 best players on the field, in my opinion, and that would be a defensive front of Kobe Turner, Tyler Davis, and Braden Fisk. Now, understood that Davis and Fisk both come off the field in certain situations, but those would be that's our best three linemen. Pretty clear, right? And then we have two outside linebackers, Jared Verse and Byron Young. Now I have the cornerbacks, Darius Williams and Kobe Durant. I know some folks are suggesting we move on from Darius. Is this another guy we're going to say, hey, you can go ahead and look for a trading partner? I don't think so. I think they bring him back. They need to improve this group. But we'll get to that in a second. And on the other side, Kobe Durant. Remember, Akilla Witherspoon is a free agent. I'll get into some other guys in a second here that could push for a lot of playing time. And then the safeties, Cameron Kinchins and Cam Curl. Now, what I did here is I put Omar Speights at a linebacker spot, and Quentin Lake, got to have him on the field. Now, it all depends on the situation, what the other team is doing, right, and what you how you have to respond. Are these 11 guys going to be on the field together on the first snap of the 2025 season? Who knows? But I got Quentin Lake out there, 3 defensive linemen, 1 true linebacker, and so on. You get the idea. Now I have some key backups listed here. Jalen McCullough and Darion Kendrick, both probably going to get some playing time. Emmanuel Forbes, who knows? Nick Hampton coming back from that injury. Brennan Jackson, he'll be a second-year player that has some proving to do. And then Mr. Irrelevant Deshaun Johnson. All of these guys will factor in, I'm sure, to the Rams' plans. So let's hold that thought on what we need to do to improve this group. We may come back to it. Let's move on to the offense. And on the offensive side, Puka Nacua and Xavier Smith are 2 wide receivers, along with Jordan Whittington. Offensive line seems to be pretty set. Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, Bo Lemmer, Kevin Dotson, Rob Havenstein. I have Higbee as a starting tight end, and Matthew Stafford and Kyron Williams. And the key backups on this side, Blake Corum, Warren McClendon, Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Justin Dedich. And, there's probably some guys I'm leaving out that are going to possibly play a role, Casey Leviston and some other guys. But let's consider what the biggest needs are here before we get into the cap situation and all the Rams free agents. On defense here, what stands out to me is, we have 3 defensive linemen potentially heading out the door. Bobby Brown, Neville Gallimore, and Laurel Murchison. I'm okay with this defensive front, Turner, Davis, and Fisk, but we need some depth there. These guys do not, typically Davis and Fisk might play 50, 60% of the snaps, if that. You need some big bodies to help these guys out, so that I see that as a big need. On the outside linebacker front, we'll talk about the free agents in a second, but with Michael Hoyt leaving, you're really going to be turning to Keir Thomas, who I don't have listed here as a key backup, Brennan Jackson, and Nick Hampton. So pretty good unit with or without Hoyt. So I don't see a big need there. Now, Jake Hummel is a restricted free agent. He'll probably be back, but I think this linebacker group with Roseboom leaving potentially needs a little bit of help. Now, the cornerbacks, I only have 2 true cornerbacks listed here, Darius Williams and Kobe Durant. And we're going to need a third one for sure. Forbes and Kendrick, Darion Kendrick, are they the answer? This group's a little bit thin, right? And I have Quentin Lake out there. He'll see the field a lot in a variety of roles, but obviously we need to address the cornerback position, I think. Then you have Cam Kinchins and Curl. Lake can play safety, as can Jalen McCullough. And there are some other guys, Charles Woods, that I don't have listed here. But to me, the key needs here, depth along the defensive front, a linebacker, and upgrade at cornerback perhaps. And if you go back to the offense here for a second, now, a lot of Ram fans are not real upset about Joseph Noteboom leaving, and I left Jonah Jackson on here because I'm assuming he won't be back. And say what you will about those guys, but it really leaves a void depth-wise. So that's an issue. Running back, quarterback, we're okay, but although we'll have to look at the backup quarterback situation if, Jimmy G's still out there, but I would hope they bring him back, but who knows if that's what Jimmy G has in mind. The wide receiver group, extremely thin. Nacua and Whittington, I'm really excited about those 2. Xavier Smith, I would have liked to seen him get more action last year. It didn't really happen, but I don't think he's starter caliber in this offense. And then the tight end situation, we have three tight ends, Higbee, Parkinson, and Davis Allen. And if Higbee's healthy and 100%, and the Tyler Higbee we've grown accustomed to, we're okay at tight end. Although we probably need a fourth one. Hunter Long's a free agent. So and I'm not talking about special teams here because I don't think it's really merits discussion. Our punter, kicker, long snapper are all excellent. Well, maybe excellent's an overstatement. Pretty solid. And with Xavier Smith and Jordan Whittington coming back, our return game's in good hands as well. And let's go back to this cap situation. So as of a few days ago, we had $44 million in cap space. If we assume Alaric Jackson is getting $19 million a year, which may not be the case, but let's roll with that for now. That knocks us down to $25 million. And a post June 1st Cooper Kupp departure would save us another $15 million. They could spread it out over 2 years, depending on how they handle that. And when they cut him. So we're back up to $40 million. Now, this isn't taking into account Matthew Stafford's contract. He was going to be a big hit already. How much of a bigger hit he will be in 2025 remains to be seen. But what we're getting at here is the Rams do have some room, some money to play with. If Jonah Jackson leaves, that could add a little bit. If they decide to move on from guys like Tyler Higbee, Rob Havenstein, I don't think that's happening. Darius Williams, but I think those are all guys that are worth keeping at the current price, in my opinion. If you disagree, hey, share your thoughts in the comment section. And I don't pretend to have all the answers, just sharing my opinion here. And the remaining Rams unrestricted free agents, I don't list the restricted, I don't even delve into restricted free agents, externals or in-house, because I think the ones that are restricted will most likely be retained. Exclusive rights guys, the same thing. And other teams' restricted free agents, I don't get too excited about those guys either. But heading out the door, Kella Witherspoon, Jimmy G, Michael Hoyt, Troy Reeder, Christian Roseboom, Joseph Noteboom, Tutu Atwell, Hunter Long, Tyler Johnson, Bobby Brown, John Johnson, Connor McDermott, he's the guard that we didn't see much of last year. He got dinged up. Demarcus Robinson, Laurel Murchison, and Neville Gallimore. And of all these guys, I think, the one that I would be focusing on right now, if I was Les Snead, is probably Demarcus Robinson, although Akilla Witherspoon. The problem with Witherspoon, I shouldn't say it's a problem, but I'd love to see them bring him back, but I'd still want a more elite cornerback, if that's how I could put it. I think Witherspoon or Williams, Darius Williams, paired up with an elite, whether it be a rookie or a big signing, a guy like DJ Reed, I think that pairing would excite me more than having Witherspoon and Williams back in the fold together. It'd be an okay unit, but I just want to see something more about that, out of that group, a player to get more excited about. Don't know what the Rams have planned for that unit. Safety group's in really good shape. They could bring John Johnson back for insurance and veteran leadership. But, obviously, to me, the wide receiver group and the cornerback group are the ones that concern me the most. Nose tackle, a big body. I think they could find someone later in the draft, really good draft along the defensive front. So, in summary here, the holes to fill, in my opinion, wide receiver, cornerback, nose tackle, linebacker, tight end, because I don't know what the Rams are doing at the tight end position, what's going on with Tyler Higbee's health, how much longer he's going to be around. Hey, maybe I've been saying this, and I know I've got some pushback on this. I don't know if McVay will be able to resist drafting a guy like Harold Fanning Jr., even in the first round. I'm telling you, do not bet against that. And with Boom and Jackson heading out, we suddenly have a concern as far as the offensive line depth. I think it's a really strong unit. The only concern I have with the 5 starters is Bo Limmer and pass protection, but he was a rookie. Hopefully he'll improve in that regard. And then we got to figure out the backup quarterback situation again. It seems like we're dealing that with every year. Carson Wentz, Jimmy G. Oh man, before Carson Wentz, it was pretty sad. And it's hopefully not a position we have to go to. We don't have to go to our backup quarterback, but this is a team that could make a Super Bowl run with Matthew Stafford. Let's have a backup quarterback that we can at least trust will get us some wins. Maybe, you're not going to find a quarterback necessarily that's going to be the guy you're going to ride to a Super Bowl, but a guy that if Matthew Stafford goes down for a couple of games, it's not an automatic 2 losses like we have experienced in years past. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on March 1st about this roster, about the starters on offense and defense, and the work remaining for the Rams to do. And I think they'll get it done. I can only guess where their focus is going to be, but hopefully this sheds some light, kind of puts it into focus where this roster is and where we're headed. But I got a really good feeling about this team having our left tackle and our gunslinger quarterback back in the fold. Man, good day to be a Rams fan out here from Rams Up.